Today, Lori Vallow Daybell addressed the jury and questioned witnesses during her first day on trial in Arizona. That's where she's accused of conspiring with her brother to kill her fourth husband, Charles Vallow.
News special Shelby Lofton joined us now from the newsroom tonight. And Shelby, Lori is representing herself in this case, isn't she?
That's right. In 2019, her fourth husband, Charles Vallow, was shot and killed by Lori's brother, Alex Cox. Cox died later that year and was never charged. Today, Lori told jurors through tears at times that her brother was acting in self-defense. Lori started nearly every sentence of her opening statement with, quote, "The evidence will show." She claims her former husband, Charles Vallow, was sending her threatening text messages. And when he came to her house in Chandler, Arizona, to take their son, JJ, to school in 2019, he started yelling at her.
Tylee came out of her room with a bat to protect me, her mother, from her stepfather, Charles Vallow. The evidence will show that Tylee and Charles fought over the bat. The evidence will show that Alex then intervened to protect Tylee from being hit.
Lori says she ran outside barefoot with Tylee and drove away with her children. The state pointed out she made stops at Burger King and Walgreens after the shooting, but Lori says her son had been promised a meal and she needed to buy shoes for herself and her daughter. Prosecutor Trina Kay says Lori created a plan with her brother to kill her husband. She says Lori took Vallow's phone to keep him inside of the house, and her brother stayed at the home the night before with a gun.
Lori created the way to keep Charles inside the house so that Alex and she could be like Nephi. To kill Charles Vallow to better at least her life so she could be with Chad and she could live off that life insurance policy.
And the state said during this trial, we will see photos of the crime scene that prove this was not self-defense, and we'll hear from witnesses who will say this murder was premeditated. Lori argues this was a family tragedy, not a crime. I'll send it back to you.
A lot of eyeballs on this trial here. I appreciate that. Thank you. And we stream today's hearing on the free KSL Plus app. Be sure to download it and stay caught up with this case as it continues. Well, here we are, day 2 of Lori Vallow Daybell's trial in Arizona. It's just wrapping up here. She's accused of conspiring to murder her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. News special Garna Mejia has been following today's developments here in Garna. The case here against her is stacking up, isn't it?
It sure is. And today the prosecution focused on July 11, 2019, the day Charles Vallow was shot and killed, building that case that Lori wanted Charles dead. On day 2 of Lori Vallow Daybell's trial in Arizona for the murder of her fourth husband, prosecutor Trina Kay questioning paramedics about the day Charles Vallow was shot and killed in Chandler by Lori's brother, Alex Cox.
It is unlikely that CPR was given to this patient prior to fire arriving.
Yes.
Retired fire captain Kent Keller said Charles's body showed signs of his heart stopping and being without oxygen, with lividity and mottling setting in, indicating no attempt was made to perform the life-saving measure.
Had adequate CPR been given there, I would have expected more blood.
Alex died months after Charles. In court today, Lori argued this.
Do you know for a fact that CPR had not been given?
I do not know for a fact.
She said that performing CPR might be difficult for a first-timer.
So would a common person who doesn't know how to do CPR maybe hesitate about pushing on a bullet wound?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Lori also had this question about chest compressions given to Charles.
I think there's a word for it, but I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was. The crunch.
When doing the chest compressions?
Correct.
Last on the stand was Daniel Coons with Chandler Police. He testified about a defect on the floor found underneath Charles's body, saying it was consistent with a bullet strike.
Yes, it would have been consistent with being under his left shoulder.
Well, and prosecutors allege that second shot came after Charles was already on the ground, indicating this was not in self-defense, as Alex Cox initially claimed. Now, today, a second juror was excused, leaving only 2 alternates. Day 3 will resume tomorrow. I'll send it back to you.
All right, we'll keep on top of things. Thank you very much. KSL Digital teams working hard, keeping you informed 24/7. We're streaming this trial live on our YouTube channel. Head on over there to hear testimony and Lori representing herself from that Arizona courtroom.
fiery and tense exchange today in Lori Vallow Daybell's trial.
Yeah, on the witness stand, the woman Charles Vallow took on a date the night before he was killed. His specialist Garna Mejia now with the breakdown. Garna?
Yeah, well, this is the first time Nancy Jo Hancock takes a stand. She talked about knowing Charles Vallow for about a week. They had plans to meet up for a second date the day that he was killed.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name's Nancy Jo Hancock.
Taking the stand, the woman who went on a date with Charles Vallow hours before he was killed.
Did he get very detailed about his life with you?
Yes.
Nancy Jo Hancock testified she met Charles on a dating website for Latter-day Saints. The two exchanged several calls and texts for about a week. Charles said he was getting divorced and had changed the beneficiary of his $1 million life insurance policy.
He was strangely calm and still kind towards Lori, even through what they were going through.
But things got testy when Lori, who was representing herself, questioned Nancy Jo. The two women meeting here for the first time.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
You knew a lot about me, right?
Then there was the awkward exchange about dating a married man that prompted the prosecutor to object on harassment.
Charles was in the process of a divorce.
He was not in the process of a divorce. Did it surprise you to find that out? Do you go on dates with married men? Naturally?
Nancy Jo also said Charles told her about Lori's affair with Chad Daybell.
We were talking about what he was going through in the process of separating from you.
Nancy Jo said she didn't hear from Charles after that first date. Months later, she found out why when she saw his picture on the news.
I was watching TV in December, I believe, and his picture came on the screen, and it said that he was dead.
Well, and today there were two other witnesses on the stand, including a friend of Lori's, Christina Atwood. Christina had a hard time remembering things, but she did say that Lori thought that Charles was possessed by a dark spirit, and she also heard Alex Cox say he wanted to kill Charles. I'm Garna Mejia, KSL 5 News.
All right, Garna, thank you. Explosive testimony in day 4 of Lori Vallow Daybell's trial. Adam Cox, Lori's brother, was on the stand testifying about Lori's extreme religious beliefs.
News specialist Garna Mejia tells us what happened inside that Arizona courtroom today. Garna?
Yeah, and that hearing still happening. Adam Cox testified that he was helping Charles Vallow with an intervention for Lori, but it never happened because Charles was killed. Adam testified that he got a text message from Charles the morning of the shooting, July 11th, 2019. Charles texted that he was at Lori's house and Alex was there too. After that, his phone went silent. Days later, concerned Adam's friend Googled Charles's name and they saw the news that Charles was killed. Adam said this is one of the worst things that he's felt in his life, and he knew immediately that his siblings were behind it.
Lori had told people that Charles was no longer living, that some guy named Ned was inside of his body, that there was a zombie living inside of him. Lori talking crazy about how she's a translated being. All these things all added up into that moment and that morning. Once I found out on Saturday that Charles was shot and killed, no doubt in my mind that they killed him.
Adam testified that Lori believed a dark spirit possessed Charles. She also thought of herself as becoming a translated and immortal being, and that other beliefs that are contrary to their faith. Adam and Charles also suspected that Lori was having an affair with Chad Daybell. Now, this was the first time that Adam sees his sister Lori in years. She is representing herself, and their exchange was tense. But there was another fiery moment on that stand with another witness. I'll bring you those details coming up at 6.
Explosive revelations in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. Friends and family members testifying on Lori's concerning behavior, her affair, and religious beliefs leading up to the shooting of Charles Vallow. News specialist Garna Mejia is following the trial for us tonight. Garna, so much to unpack here, right?
I mean, Mike, it was a busy day, but Lori Vallow Daybell's brother, let's start there, Adam Cox, he testified about her strange religious beliefs, alleging that he knew that his siblings, Lori and Alex Cox, were behind Charles's death. Then an old friend of Lori's took the stand. Her name is Serena Sharp. Serena said she met Lori on a trip to Arizona for preparing a people conference for those who believe in the end of days. Serena testified that Lori said she didn't need to repent and talked about people becoming zombies. These statements concerned Serena because they were outside the teachings of their faith. Now, Serena said she and a group of women also participated in a, quote, casting out of an evil spirit for Charles Vallow a few months before his death.
Her asking you to cast out as to her husband.
Yes, it stood out to me. She spoke about her husband being possessed by an evil spirit, and she named the evil spirit.
Do you recall what the name was?
Yes.
What was it?
It was Ned.
Well, Lori, as we know, is representing herself. Her questioning of Serena was combative and defiant. Here is their exchange on zombies. It prompted the judge and prosecution to intervene.
Is it possible that someone else said the word zombie and not me at that meeting when we were all there with the girls?
It's possible, but I don't think it was. I think.
Okay,
it
then
was
what
you.
did I say exactly about zombies? I want to know the sentence I said to you about zombies.
Hold on.
Again,
Ask questions, okay?
After Charles's death, Serena saw Lori and described her as being stoic and not mourning or crying. Now, today also on the stand, we saw Kay Woodcock. She is Charles Vallow's sister, and she testified that Lori didn't allow 7-year-old JJ Vallow to attend Charles's funeral. Now, Lori's demeanor in questioning Kay was very different from Serena's questioning. Lori was almost timid and brief with her cross-examination. You can watch that interaction on our website. Now, this trial will resume on Monday. There is no activity tomorrow. I'll send it back to you.
A lot to sort out in that courtroom, that's for sure. All right, Garna, well done today. Thank you.